order. May I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Paskalakis? Ms. Frantic? Whoops, sorry. Mr. Phillips? Oh my goodness, this list needs updated. Ms. Cantrell's no longer here. Mr. Newman?
Here.
Mr. Chapin?
Here.
Ms. Powell? Here. Mr. Mayotte?
Here. Okay, we do have a little situation. We cannot even approve the minute of the April 12th because we don't have enough vote. Is that correct? Voting members, we don't have enough vote.
Right.
So at this time, I think the only thing we can do is take comments.
You can go through the agenda.
Yeah, we can go through the whole thing and take the okay. Okay. Since we can't go through the approval, I guess we're going to go through the police staff. Okay.
We don't have a member of the police here.
Okay. So, there's any questions from the members about the reports that we have? Or
I'm actually in communication with the police and code enforcement on a pretty regular basis, so
okay.
I'm okay with that. And I was at Comstead on Thursday, so.
Yes, I know. Okay. All right. So as far as the police, everybody's okay with that? Yes? Okay. Let's go to the redevelopment project. Update, please.
Okay. If you've driven down Oak Ridge at Atlantic Avenue, you can see a lot of activity now with the Proto Group, which is the sometimes referred to as our Russian friends in the project, and they have really stepped up and done a lot of work on the at least getting the ground ready for the hotel. So they're in a significant phase with the foundation work. The garage itself is about ready to be finalized. I believe we're scheduled tomorrow to get out there and take a look at it for their approval to get the operation started and start parking the vehicles. And they really will, in this next month, start to become a 24/7 operation, and for purposes of security as well as parking the vehicles in that garage. And if you haven't seen it, this board approved the and made the recommendations initially on the aesthetics and the way it would look. So I think it turned out pretty good. There's going to be some landscaping and some paver work that, because of some issues with power lines and utilities, they're going to be phased in with the work that happens when the hotel is built, because they're going to do some work on Oak Ridge where they are going to have that one-way. It's hard to explain how it's going to happen, but there'll be a one-way from the Beachside back into that parking garage at the time the hotel opens. Okay, that's the way it was approved. And so they'll have to work out all of that over the next couple years prior to occupancy. The next to that, and these are little projects, but these are important. With the hurricane and some of the damage that's occurred to some of the buildings and the signs, we've had great cooperation with 7-Eleven, who took over the old Kangaroo convenience store across the way, and so we're very concerned about how it was going to look, and we asked them to, when they bought that property, to come in and do some additional work to make it look better. So a lot of pavement was taken out. An old broken down fence was taken out that divided the IHOP and 7-Eleven. And they have brought the freestanding, the pole sign, down to a monument sign. And IHOP has done the same. And and we've kind of worked with them, and they've cooperated together to put this together. So it's not all done, but I think it's a good start to taking a lot of asphalt out of the area, making it a safer a place for pedestrians at a major corner there. So hopefully, it's not ideal because it's all existing, but it's a step in the right direction. And hopefully we'll see more of those types of projects going forward. The boardwalk itself, we're getting the railings in. It's going, I think, slower than expected with those new railings. You have to go all the way up to the north end of the boardwalk to actually see those new railings. But they are going in. I think they look pretty good in terms of the way that they're going to be. They're not going to require paint, and that's a good thing because the painted versions that we've had in the past simply aren't something we can maintain. The salt air is just too much for them, and trying to paint them has, within a year or 2 years, you're right back where you started. So I think we've got a good solution. I think the design you'll see, which is a little more modern, will be something that I think we'll all like in the end. But check it out yourself. It may or may not be done before the Shriners get here. The Shriners are coming July 8th through the 12th. Every day there will be some public events. It's not just the Shriners doing their thing with their hats and what they do. Okay, this is a great opportunity. It's the international event, and they're going to be back next year. But what we want to do is outshine the previous locations they've been in the country, and show that this smaller venue, Daytona Beach, can be just as big a deal for them, if not better. And so one of the things that they really want is public participation. And so in your own way, if you can pass on the message, there'll be some more information coming out in terms of the venues and where they'll be. But the most important one that I have on my list is on July the 11th at 7 p.m. That's the parade that'll start at the Splash Park down at the south of ISB, and it will proceed north to the Ocean Center, and then from there everyone goes over to the band shell, and there'll be music and there'll be fireworks, and then there are other activities that are going to be at the Ocean Center itself on other days, and so stay tuned for that, and some of that information will also be on the Convention and Visitors Bureau website. They're the primary point of contact with regards to the event. The back to the boardwalk area, you may have seen some articles about the amusement rides and the condition of that, because there were some insurance issues that the operator was working with. They've gotten past that now, so there no longer is that impediment to them either having to move the rides and get them out of there. They have to have operational rides. They have to meet the state requirements to get them up and running again. So there's a lot of work going on right now to recondition the a roller coaster and to bring in new rides. So what you're going to see is that fence is going to go away. That's in bad condition, and there'll be a new one in its place. The first thing has to happen, they have to clean the grounds, and they're doing that right now. And then there'll be new rides in for particularly the younger kids to get on. The go-karts will go away right now. That will not be a part of what they do in the future, and there'll be an operator that does this up and down the coast of the southeast U.S. and and so I think we'll get a good product to fill in very quickly when we needed it. So I would hope before the end of this month it'll be a fully operational amusement rides again, with landscaping and a fence and everything else that we can be proud of. And next to that is a parking lot that is a temporary parking lot, and that comes up in September, I believe, in terms of their approval for what's a significant asset right now for us, because it provides a lot of parking, especially during events during the summer, and so as a part of what they're doing right now, they have agreed to do some additional landscaping and cleaning it up, and it's looking much better now around the edges. And so there'll be right now it's a work in progress, but I expect it to be looking pretty sharp before the end of this month is over. Along with that, the Hilton Hotel is finishing up in the back along the park there. We're doing some landscaping. We're landscaping out on A1A and the medians. So those pieces as well are coming together, and we're not going to get everything done with the Hilton before July 1st. So you'll see some more work that's going to be done in reconditioning some of the concrete surfaces that are out there. You know, the kind of the tired old colored stained concrete and a lot of broken concrete. That's going to all be fixed, repaired, and everything's going to be restained. That's the plan, courtesy of the Hilton Hotel. So I think that's a big deal for them to step up and be partners with us. What else? Streamline, is open now, and that's an important project I think for the whole area, and it's just the beginning of what they are going to try to do within the 2-block area. They've acquired the additional land towards ISB, and with the intent of providing some more parking. Believe that restaurant, the old Shell's restaurant, that's going to come down, and the parking will stay. There'll have to be additional landscaping and some appearance issues that we have to address in there to make that work for more of a permanent parking for now, and it's a redevelopment site for something in the future. And then the last thing I have on here is those Surfside banners that we've been waiting for, right? So those are up, and hopefully they look okay. They don't have the little triangle at the bottom, but everything else is there, I think, more like we had it before. So that's my report. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions from the members before we go to public comments?
The parking lot that you referenced by Breakers Park, are you talking about the city-owned lot that is leased to someone for parking? You said they were going to do some improvements. Are you talking about the one with all the rocks, that comes down by Harvey?
This is the one that is next to the amusement rides between Main Street and Auditorium Boulevard. It's a large parking area, temporary.
That one. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I was going in the other direction in my mind.
Okay.
So that parking lot is going to be improved with landscaping, you said?
It's already been improved. You go out there now, you'll see that
I did see some
sod
and A1A there.
And shrubs and all of that. It was all taken out and new plant material brought in. And some of the irrigation was fixed as well, so that it will continue to look good. So that's where that's at.
Wondered what parking lot.
Okay. Anything?
Do we have any public comment?
Linda Smiley, 357 Manhattan. What kind of businesses are allowed on Main Street right now?
Retail, restaurant. I mean, most of it is zoned RDB2, which is allows a lot of retail and restaurants.
Retail and restaurants,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
And what about Victory Tattoo that wants to come in there? That's a small business. It's already established somewhere else, and it's family friendly as far as they want to. I mean, it's very clean looking, and they want to have a little tattoo museum there. What is the prognosis for that, I guess?
Well, like any request to take something that's not permitted in that area, it's only permitted in a business automotive district right now, and
Okay, but the city just had to change all that because they decided that it was unconstitutional. And
right.
that
That's
could
why
be-
they added the business automotive district.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the only district they added
No,
for it.
yeah, that's the only one other than I think it's an industrial district.
M1.
That's,
M1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the current status. Certainly, you can rezone some property if you want to for an individual property, and that's what that particular business is attempting to do, is try to rezone a parcel of land so that they could establish a use that was until recently prohibited in redevelopment areas.
Okay. And what about when somebody comes with a new business, okay, because like there was a business that's now in Holly Hill, this Copper Bottom distillery. What is the channel? I mean, do they come and like they were denied before nobody even heard about it, and they were denied here in Daytona, you know.
No?
Yeah, they were. They came and tried to get a business in Daytona, and they're not the only one. I know of several other people that have tried in the city of Daytona to get different businesses and have been turned away. You know, when we have all this, we want economic development and da-da-da, you know, and yet we're turning businesses away.
Okay, but I can tell you that
So
that
do
particular
they come
business was not
through
turned
you
down.
or through Chisholm, or how does that work? Because
No, when somebody comes here, a new business, they will go down to permits or licensing typically, and they'll get the information about where they might want to locate, and they will be either directed to, if it's in a redevelopment area, to me, or if it's going to be somewhere outside of redevelopment, it'll be to somebody in planning.
so they wanted to locate actually on North Beach Street, which is, as we all know, not really that great of an area, okay? And it would have been a boost to that area, if nothing else. And so now they're across the line in Holly Hill and doing wonderful.
Well,
And so we
I'll
lost
certainly
out.
speak to them and find out what this is all about, because that's certainly news to me.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering how many other businesses have come and been turned away, and how do we find out about that? You know, or is there a way for us to find out about that? You know, that type of thing. Like, there's a pile of empty space. I mean, there's a pile of places on Main Street right now that are for sale. And so I'm trying to think, okay, well, what would be good to come in there? Is that all we want, is restaurants and retail?
You have,
You know,
well,
do we not want another T-shirt shop? Is that what we're looking for? Or?
no.
I hope not.
Again, the market, if somebody wants to come into a certain area and they say, I like this location, one of the first things they're going to do is look at, what's the zoning, and does it permit or not permit what somebody's trying to do? And if they can't do it by right, there are procedures in place to allow someone to consider rezoning and find a way to try to establish something which may or may not fit into the overall plan of the city. And so it really depends on that location. And you have to know the location that you're going to go to is going to allow that type of business. I'll give you a good example. When somebody said they're going to locate an unemployment office, or employment office, I should say, but it was located and was going to be permitted over across from the Copper Bottom because the city has land over there as well. The jurisdictions are next to each other.
Okay.
And in that case, it turned out that it was a day labor office, and day labor is prohibited in a redevelopment area, of which this was one. And so we stepped in and said, you can't have that, and we worked with that company in both sides in a very cooperative way to say, you can't be here, it's not allowed, and we worked with them to go to a location where it was allowed, and so the property owner and the tenant and the city of Holly Hill worked through that process.
Okay. Well, okay, so, and we have Mr. Anderson with his temporary lot that's been there for how many years? 25, 30?
Well, officially, we've given it the 3 2-year extensions that were allowed by the Land Development Code.
Okay. So at some point there's going to be an end to it, though?
Well,
hopefully?
the end is right now, as I understand it, September of this year, before it has to be paved and brought up to full standards. Okay.
Thank you. Any other? Yeah, would you please fill that up, please?
I will also fill one out. Thank you, Sandy Murphy, 136 Park Avenue. My question is about the lot on Main Street that's affected by the proposed interlocal agreement with the county and the city for additional Ocean Center parking. When that came up at the commission meeting, the commissioners were alerted to the conflict between that and the E-zone plan and some of the things that are predicted or planned for the Main Street area, and they've tabled that temporarily. I see the same agreement is on the county council agenda for tomorrow, and I wanted to find out what the situation is there and if we have a plan that we're sticking with, if we have a new plan that hasn't been vetted by the public, or why we are doing something that's so different from the festival area that's planned, or why we're approving something that's so different from the festival area that is planned for that lot according to the E-zone plan.
You want to go ahead, Mr. Berger, please?
Yeah,
I think she's talking about the piece of property that the county...
Right. This is on Main Street,
Yes,
next
yes,
to the
yes, sir.
corner of Wild Olive.
Yes, sir. The paved
and-
one, the paved one, yes.
Right. And this has pavers in it.
Yes, sir.
And it's been used customarily as a special event lot
Vendors,
for
yes.
vending.
Yes.
The issue is whether or not there's any concern about how it's being proposed to be used now. And the E-zone plan is a master plan. It has not been adopted through the Land Development Code, so there are no regulations at this time. As it was anticipated, there'd be an overlay district. It would be in there, and then property owners would have the choice of either following the current code or going with the overlay of the E-zone regulations. But those are not in place. There's a placeholder for it in the Land Development Code, but it has not proceeded as of now. The thing I can tell you about the master plan and what's intended there is, yes, the frontage along Main Street would be something, if you have the pavers, would be a pop-up type of activities. There could be, there could be art there. There could be, if food trucks were permitted, but they're not now.
Yeah.
But it is a matter of interest and discussion before our commission. I think there's a thinking about how they're doing the design that kind of reflects what's in that plan. And then there's a hotel that's anticipated as a part of that plan, that would be on some of the parking area that goes from further back on Main Street along Wild Olive all the way back to the Ocean Center itself. So it's an idea and a plan that we'd love to see implemented, but it'll be over a long time. So what do you do in the meantime until somebody's ready to invest in a major parking garage and hotel and do those things? And this area was considered not the area that was going to be most likely to develop first. We were concentrating on phase 1, which is around the pier, Breakers Park, that area, and moving down the street towards the river in terms of redevelopment. That's the plan. And so if we look at this area now, it might be some time, and they have some public parking there that can be used by the merchants of Main Street for the customers and the Peabody, and there's now this shared parking in that area. It will provide a lot more efficient system than the current system, which is the parking lots we have now. If it's the Ocean Center, then you may or may not get use of those parking spaces, and this. So there's. I have to stress it has been cooperative from the beginning in any discussion. I think I saw something in the newspaper that said that we had somehow opposed or didn't like something, and we didn't do that at all as a city. And the county and the city are really on the same page about trying to do something cooperative and make this a win-win for the Main Street area. And so going forward here, I think the way that it's being planned with the parking seems like it'll be good for all of us in having the shared parking there.
May I ask a question on that topic?
Sure.
The parking lot on Main Street, or the lot on Main Street, is going to accommodate 34 parking places. The Ocean Center has, I don't even know how many parking spaces are in those two giant lots right behind. They do not permit, does Volusia County permit the Peabody to use those parking spaces now?
They will
now, as of now and in the past.
In the past. And as of now, if we call and we say we've got an event and we'd like use of the parking, you may or may not have the opportunity. If there's no conflict, they manage it, and they have their folks who have, it's manpower, it's everything else they have to do. So it's on a case by case whether or not that's opened up for some activity that's over at the Peabody.
Well, I was told during our Citizens Academy class, people at the Peabody, that they were dying for parking over there.
Right.
And I've been at Peabody when they're having trouble parking people, and those lots are empty.
Right.
So what I'm suggesting is that the county has not been cooperative with helping the city. It's open and vacant all day, and Main Street merchants are also struggling for parking. So
we're going forward into the future and not into the past.
Well, we can learn from the past, right? And
right.
So if you're going to, in any kind of a deal, you said it has to be a win-win.
Yeah.
So if if the other person on the deal has kind of been a little bit sticky with you, why do we have to give them anything that they want? I would say these lots right here on Main Street are owned by a private individual right now. Does that person not want to develop that land according to what our E-zone plan suggests? They don't.
It's owned by a bank.
Yeah.
A bank has private investors.
Yeah, but
So
there's been conversation, meetings with them. They just want to get it off their books.
Okay.
They don't want to have anything. It's been out for a very, very, very long time.
all right. So why is the city not looking to purchase it themselves?
I think the city looked at that.
Mm-hmm.
The county decided to pull the trigger and do it themselves. And and provide the parking. And I think the way that they're working this out will be in everybody's interest. There'll be the additional parking. It's not like it's all cooperative. I just don't understand why there's a concern here.
Well, my concern is that people say, Volusia County doesn't intend to do this, or they do intend to do that, or it's just a placeholder and we're going to get it back eventually. And none of those things are in writing anywhere. The only thing it says is that right now, currently Ocean Center is allowed to use these 2 large parking lots, and we are now adding permit for a third for Area C, I think it is, right. And we're allowing that. It was not a part of the original agreement. According, an email from Jim Morris clarified that. So why does the Ocean Center need 34 more spots, I guess, is the bottom line. What's really, just if someone can really explain that to me, I might lighten up. But otherwise, I'm wondering what's going on. Currently, it's used as vending associated with 601, which is Bad Boys, which shouldn't be allowed to do anything on Main Street. It's in such horrible
It's not
condition.
allowed. There's no relationship between 601 and the rest of the property.
So, really?
Yes, really.
Okay. So one of the BTRs on one of the lots it's 5 contiguous lots that we're talking about. One of the BTRs says Main Street Steakhouse, Dog House, or something like that, and that's what Bad Boys used to be. It's not an active Sunbiz license.
Years ago.
But that's what's on the county property records right now. So I'm just saying, and then and Mr. Gilliland, Commissioner Gilliland, alluded to the fact that the county wanted to pick up that Bad Boys property also. So in the interest of, the city has tried to buy parking lots here and there and here and there. Why not, why don't we hold our own placeholder for the E-zone, for the interest of the E-zone plan is all I would like.
Sure. I can only tell you that and I appreciate that. And when it comes to the limited resources for the funding and we're looking at parking, our priority at this time has been right there around Phase 1 and the pier area, Breakers Park, and that's where we've been concentrating our efforts right now.
Well, there was $150,000 to buy a lot on Harvey. Some kind of.
There was.
And
that was an opportunity because of the contract that we had already in place for what was $1.2 million, and we negotiated it down for $750,000 for that same parcel.
Okay.
So again, that's in the past. But the point is that the resources and there's 2 primary goals right now in Main Street we've had in capital. And the first one, the primary one, has always been East ISB. And that's the most important one in terms of where we feel our capital costs here need to be focused. And then beyond that, we had this one opportunity to step into a contract. Obviously, that got pulled, and that money is back there in the pot for East ISB from whence it came.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know maybe people at Friends Bank and they just want to unload something, but having a property and wanting to unload it doesn't necessarily mean that the county or the city needs to jump in and rescue you. They should be able to put it on the market, and I haven't seen it for sale.
They did.
Okay.
It's been on the market. Let's just start from the beginning.
Here we go.
You can understand. This piece of property has been on the market for almost 3 years. To my recollection, there was at least a good 13 offers on it. Sorry, 13 different proposals on it. The bank, the person who was in charge, the bank did not want to have anything to do with it. None of the proposals. I would say about 8 months ago, they came out and says, yeah, now we're ready to dump it. There were 4 contracts on it. The county won the contract. The county, according to Deneen and according to everybody else, they have a plan for that property. What is it? Nobody knows. We've been trying to find.
Well, you know an awful lot about this. That we would have loved to have been apprised.
Yes, because there's ways, there's people, there's ways to find out things, whatever is it.
And I've been trying like heck to find out, and I haven't found out as much as you know. So, are you associated with this deal in any way?
I'm sorry?
Are you associated with that deal? In any
No,
way?
I was one of the contracts on it, and they turned it down. They turned down 5 different contracts on it, and the county picked it up, and it was announced. They let know the city the morning before the meeting, before the county meeting, and I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think tomorrow's meeting of the county, I think they're going to say something about it.
Yeah, they are. It's on the agenda.
I understand that, but they're not going to say what their plan with it. You're not going to be able to make them say what's their plan with it.
Well, Mr. Gilliland seems to know what's going to happen with it, and Mr. Chisholm seems to know what the Volusia County is going to do with it, and they can be pretty sure they're not going to use it for itinerant vending, and they're going to just be a placeholder for us, and they're going to give it back to us at some point. So I'm just, there's no need to beat this dead horse, but I'm just expressing my questioning of the deal. I'm encouraged because the city commission pulled it off of the agenda to review, because obviously Mr. Gilliland must have known about it because he motioned right away. Commissioner Henry seconded, but I'm not sure she was fully aware of it, because the rest of them, once we pointed a few things out, they said, wait a minute, let's pull this. So I'm encouraged by that, and I think that, it's going to go the way it's going to go, but at least our commissioners have taken note. And on the last thing I would like to ask is if staff spends hours doing a review and creating a legal document like that agreement, who gets billed for that? Does the CRA pay for that when it's a sale between Volusia County and a private person or a bank, a series of investors? It's a sale, and we're reviewing agreements for what's going to be permitted on that lot. It's either going to benefit Volusia County or it's going to benefit that property owner who's selling it. I can't really figure out who's benefiting here, but our staff hours, your staff hours, being spent on it, I'm wondering if we can see how much, dollar amount, and who's covering that cost. And that's the last thing I'll say about that item.
Okay. I guess we just went through the board comment.
Not really.
Any other questions? Any questions? Any other questions, Amy?
Anybody but me?
Any questions, Mr. Schaefer? Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. I want to reiterate something that Linda was talking about Victory Tattoo and some of the, if a small business wants to come in, a small quality business wants to come in on Main Street, I would love for us to encourage them. And I think that's what Linda was trying to say. So, and sometimes, and we hear things all the time. I tried to open a business on Main Street, and it didn't go anywhere. And I think the people didn't have the stick-to-itiveness maybe to make the application and do the paperwork. But at the point that they come to you and say, I want to open this, and you say, well, that's not allowed. And then it kind of, unless they really go after it, it might just fizzle out. Is there a public record of those kind of things? And can we encourage you to really, help us out? Just pull those people in and say, listen, there's a process. We're going to help you through it. We have some people that might help you walk through it. We have some volunteers that might help in this situation. And let's, try to start helping people through the loopholes. So that's my comment on that item. The property on Grandview, the large property that used to be owned by Katona, was sold for $855,000 in April, I believe. And I had asked if you knew about anything, and you said you didn't have an update on it. It was sold for $855,000. It was recorded, the sale was recorded, the deed was recorded, and it says $1.5 million. And that is permitted. It's allowed to be done. Volusia County allows that if there's going to be, X amount of dollars. In this case, it would be $655,000 worth of increased value in the next, I don't know if it's 6 months or a year or whatever. They allow you to up the amount. Instead of the actual amount of the sale, you can put it on a deed that you sold it, but the price is a lot more. So I'm coming to you and asking, because all these things come before you apparently, and I'm not sure, I don't think it's in the E zone, but it's in the redevelopment zone. Are you aware of improvements that are going to be made on that property at this point? Has any applications been made that are going to go before the technical services review panel or whatever? Have you seen anything on that property about what's going to happen?
At this time, no project has been submitted for that property.
Nothing.
There's been nothing that's come through TRT, nothing that's been submitted to us.
Okay. Are you aware of a potential trade with another property?
A trade?
Yeah.
No.
Owned by the same owner up on Ocean Avenue?
No, I'm not familiar with a trade.
Okay.
No.
Okay, and then the last thing was during the last commission meeting also, Commissioner Gilliland made a comment about the East ISB project, and he talked about several projects that were up and coming with the TPO, and he said, but he referenced something, and I didn't look back to see exactly what it was, but that the East ISB project was going to kick off it's going to move to the top and be kicked off in the next couple of years. So, do you know anything about a time frame for that? You yourself said it was it's our most important priority project.
Yes, but I haven't heard back on any update for that particular project from DOT.
Okay. And then the last thing is, many of you know I'm on the board of Citizens for Responsible Development. We've been doing a couple of projects. We recently did a survey of Main Street to assist our code enforcement department. We spoke with Officer Sykes from code enforcement, and we submitted a list of we started with just signage and exterior, some simple violations that just have gone on for a long, long time, and we helped document everything with pictures and, kind of did the legwork because their staff is burdened right now, and we know we've had some turnover in that area. So we submitted that, and we're going to be following them through the new eTrack-It. They've got a great portal now for reporting code enforcement stuff. So we're working with them on that to try to see which property owners are going to say, you know what, I do want to clean this up. Let's get these, maybe just get it looking a little bit better there and start feeling that out. And then, can I mention the gallery project? We've asked one owner in particular, Humphreys Jewelers, who has 2 vacant storefronts on either side. They've allowed us to go into one of them, the one on the north end, which is right at the corner of Hollywood, I think, and create a display space. So instead of looking into a window and seeing, clothing racks and displays left over from Bike Week, now we have folding panels, nice white folding panels, a couple of feet back from the door, and we've hung children's artwork donated or borrowed from Art House, which is an art school for children, and we just hung them today. And so if anyone wants to go by and see that, it's just a suggestion, and we're hoping people will learn something from this and say, all right, instead of taping up craft paper in my window that's going to fall down or hanging a bed sheet, let me try this. Or they could even contact us, and it's a 501c3, so we would be interested if a property owner wanted to say, you know what, would you come in and do that in my place? We'd find a school that wanted to donate some art projects or something like that for maybe $100, a couple $100 donated to our organization. We'll come in and create a nice little display to where when people walk down Main Street, they actually have something to browse and look, and you'd be surprised how far that will go to get people up to Neptune's or up to Main Street Station or past Lucky Rooster, or So we want to create a walkable, family-friendly thing, right? So, we have to allow them to put the crazy biker T-shirts in the window, but we can also encourage a little bit of an improvement in that, and it shows a good community effort. So that's something that C4RD Daytona.com. You can see about our Main Street projects. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by any board? No? I see we have a representative from the police department. There's a I know you walked in a little bit later, and we passed that time already, but you're more than welcome. If you want to give the stats, please do.
I apologize for my tardiness.
It's all right.
Other pending events.
That's all right.
I'm Lieutenant James Churko. I'm a District 1 lieutenant, actually filling in for Captain Lee and Lieutenant Eisner, who couldn't make it this evening. Just wanted to go over the numbers for the most recent ComStat period. Auto thefts are down 33% year to date. Total burglaries are down 16%. Larcenies down 11%. Robberies down 44%. Total aggravated assaults and batteries are up 31%. Total sexual batteries down 40%. Part 1 crimes are down a total of 10%. And domestic violence cases are also down 14%. I also wanted to talk a little bit about habitual misdemeanors. We're going to start going after. There's a thing with the state. It classifies offenders as habitual misdemeanors, which basically is if they're arrested 4 times for a crime covered under, which would cover trespassing, burglary, certain larcenies, crimes of that nature, criminal mischief, 4 times within a 1-year calendar period, then they can go after an elongated sentence, which would be a minimum of 6 months for them to be locked up in jail, up to no longer than 1 year. So it would stop the constant revolving door of them getting out in a couple of days. But we're going to start bringing that back, staying on top of that with the state attorney's office and with the jail system, hopefully take some of these eyesores and problem people and keep them locked up for several more months than what's been happening recently.
One question, Lieutenant.
Sure.
The offenses that you said were misdemeanor offenses.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And there's a list of those offenses?
Yeah, it covers it's trespassing, it's criminal mischief, it's domestic violence, simple battery cases, covers drugs, any type of like misdemeanor marijuana possession or paraphernalia possession. It covers any types of thefts, retail theft,
Yes.
anything of that nature.
Thank you. That's excellent. Very good.
Also, I wanted to mention very quickly, I don't know if anybody knows, we have a fishing tournament coming up at the Lake at Valor, coming up on the 24th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Anybody under the age of 16 is welcome to come out and fish. Just bring a pole, all the bait, lunch, prizes, everything will be provided. Drinks.
Is it
Yeah.
16 or 12?
16.
Oh, okay. I had this. I thought it was 12.
16. Anybody else want a copy?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please. And I think you should get some more copies and drop them off.
Yeah.
I got a couple.
It's also on Twitter and it's
Yeah.
on Facebook.
I got a couple of questions for you, and I don't know if anybody else had any question for the lieutenant. First of all, I want to say thank you very much because we've been working on this thing about repeat offenders, misdemeanor.
Yes.
And you know how long we've been working on this, and I think that is I think it's been over 10 years, and it's finally being done, and that is going to greatest thing that's going to clean up the area, because I'm sure that everybody knows here when you said revolving doors, it is not the police department. We're not going to point the finger at the state attorney or the judges, but you guys arrest them. The afternoon they're out because the judges are tired. But it's very, very important. There's a certain zone or certain area, or is it citywide?
No, this is going to be citywide.
Okay.
But I'm just speaking as of right now.
District
It's going
two.
to be the redevelopment and the Beachside area. That's the main focus for today's meeting. But that's going to be a citywide effort.
Yes.
Because with all the city parks, we have a
Yes,
problem with
absolutely.
trespassing. We have a problem with,
Absolutely.
with drugs, with drinking, with whatever.
Yes. I want you to just give a message to the captain and to the chief. That is one of the greatest news we had in a long time. And every business person on the beachside, when they're going to hear that, I think you're going to see the difference in between cooperation between the businesses and the police department.
I think it's just one of those tools that's been, for lack of a better term, the ball's been dropped by everybody over the years. It's a group effort, and I think bringing it back, it's going to.
And the reason
Ease a lot
why,
of
I just want to say, everybody, the reason I got the chill saying about this because we've been trying to do something to clean up the beachside for many, many years, and every time we hit the walls, and those walls were the judges and the state attorney. They didn't have the manpower. It's not strong enough. The case is not strong enough. So We always blamed the police department, but it was not the police department. They did their job. But if you look at, I'm pretty sure there's no numbers, but if you look at every person that got arrested or got stopped in the past 10 years, I guarantee you they were a repeated offender at least a dozen and a half times of the same offense.
There is. We're gonna have numbers for you.
Oh,
we're starting the program fresh from scratch, and we're going to list all the offenders, and you're going to be able to see how many times he or she has been arrested and for what crimes in what area.
Okay. I just want to make one more comment, and I'm gonna drop this off. About 10 years ago, Fort Lauderdale, Miami did it. And when we brought it here, it's the state attorney slammed the door to my face saying it's unconstitutional. They have their rights, they have this, they have their everything else. It's the same thing with prostitution, it's the same thing as the trespassing. Mm-hmm. People don't know where the trespassing came from. That came from the West Coast. I brought that up 15 years ago, where the property is signed off to the police department when it's closed. As of before, if somebody was doing something wrong on a piece of property, the officer had to call the property owner before he arrests the person. Once the business is closed now, it's owned by the police department. Sorry, it's the police department, it takes over, doesn't need to call. Where we used to get calls at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, this guy's doing this on the property, this, that. Now, we brought that 15...
You authorized us to be a representative of your property while you're home.
Well, we did that, we brought that, and believe me, I traveled to the West Coast and we did it, and that's why I get the chills when you announced that. I didn't even hear about it. I didn't even hear that it was implemented, this thing over here. I'm sure that the city is happy about it. I'm thrilled about it because there's no use to call the police department anymore because we call you guys, and next thing you know, the next day you see the same people back. I'll give you guys an example. Starbucks, it's the same thing. They keep calling, and the same people step out. They come back, and the police officers are really. But now, because of this so I want to say thank you very much. Thank you to the captain. Thank you to the chief. And I know we'll see a big change in the District 2. I'm talking about District 2. I know I don't know about the city well, but I'm talking about District 2.
I think we'll see a difference.
Yes, absolutely.
Citywide.
Thank you very, very much for that good news.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Wow, that was a good news.